Welcome to the Motivation Without the Hype podcast with your host, Jez Perez. He's an author, high-performance coach, and motivational speaker. This show brings you inspiring messages and interviews to unleash your greatness in life and in business. So let's get started.
All right, cool. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Motivation Without the Hype podcast show. My name is Jez Perez, a former procrastinator into an action taker. We bring you inspirational messages and interviews, including motivational insights, tips, principles, and proven strategies that you can take action without the hype and unleashing your greatness in life and in business. We appreciate you plugging in and spending time with us, and we have two special guests, and I'm grateful to have them both on our show. Both of their names are Candice and Lauren, are top-rated university professors of leadership and co-founders of Aretios, a company dedicated to helping entrepreneurs and young professionals learn how to lead well and live the life they were designed for. They bring over a decade of study in leadership and personal growth and 13 years of experience as leadership trainers. Through their work as a success and influence strategist, Candice and Lauren help people clarify their purpose and develop their influence so they can live a life full of success, excitement, and meaning. Girls, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Jess, for having us.
Thanks, Jess. We're excited to be here.
Yes. So, thank you so much for joining. And, I'm a huge fan of your work, and I'm glad that we're connected through podcasting. So please tell us about yourselves and what you both do.
Sure. So as you mentioned, we're Candice and Lauren Henry. We are sisters and university professors of leadership. And we co-founded a company called Aretios, where we are dedicated to helping entrepreneurs and young professionals learn how to lead well and live their best life.
So our goal is to really bring these topics of leadership and personal growth to the next generation in a way that's inspiring, practical, and engaging to them. So it's, for young leaders, by young leaders.
Wow, that's amazing. So how did you both get started in business? And it's inspiration to see you both, working together as a family. You probably get that a lot working together as sisters. I'm very close to my siblings, so we work a lot as well. So how'd you guys kind of fuse together and make something magical to add value to the lives of others?
Sure. So we think, first of all, that it's really cool that you also work closely with your siblings. Some people can't imagine working with their siblings at all, and others can't imagine not doing that.
For us, we absolutely love working together. Candice and I are best friends, and we have a lot of the same interests, and also our skill sets are complementary, so it helps to make a good team.
Yeah, so as far as how we got started, as sisters, growing up, our parents were some of the first to introduce us to leadership and personal growth at a young age. And through that, we started to experience a really positive, powerful impact that kind of insight and strategy can have on our lives. And so this really inspired us, and we were like, well, we have to learn more about this and start applying leadership and personal development principles to our lives. So we both attended a international leadership training program for several years and then became leadership trainers for young adults and went on then to get our master's degrees in executive leadership.
And now we teach leadership courses as university professors, and as we were doing that, we saw that there was a need for a younger voice to bring these insights and these strategies and concepts to the next generation in a way that really resonated with them. And so that's what inspired us to start Aretios, where we work as success and influence strategists and help people learn how to not only lead well, but live their best life.
I love it. I love that what you guys stand for and what you really do for the younger generation. And you mentioned key things about, parents instilling, leadership, how important are values to live by it as well. Because, parents do play an important integral part in your life, but those values that that's kind of embedded, how important are values and to be congruent with that?
I think values are so important. They serve as kind of our guiding compass for how we make every decision and how we live every moment of our lives. And so that's one of the things that we're, like you said, so grateful for what our parents taught us. But then it also comes to a point where as you grow up, you have to own that for yourself. So I think it's really important that people think about the values that they want to shape and guide their life and their choices, because that's what makes you as a person.
Love it, guys. That's so cool. I love what you both stand for, particularly with your mission. And I've been seeing what you guys do, and it's phenomenal. Because of this, obviously I'm a coach as well, but I'm involved in a lot of community work, inspiring the future generation to unleash their greatness. But your mission, this is what I love, and I specifically wrote this down, is to inspire, equip, and empower the next generation of extraordinary leaders, not ordinary,
Right.
Yeah.
extraordinary. So, can you please go deeper and explain, your vision and your purpose to pursue this?
Well, thanks for the kind words, Jez. We appreciate that and love that you resonate with this as well. It also sounds like you've done some incredible work to help the next generation. But yeah, like Candice said, growing up, these concepts of personal growth and leadership had a big impact on us. And so, but when we looked around as we were learning these things, we realized that most of the people were decades older than us. And
Yeah.
so we said, why aren't other young people our age learning this? And that's what inspired us to really help other people learn how to live lives of purpose, influence, and adventure.
Yeah, and we've also found that fulfillment and a sense of purpose in life comes from doing something that is beyond yourself, comes from doing something that helps other people. And so I think our vision is something that is certainly beyond just the two of us. We envision things, impacting a generation, and that's a big vision. And that's something that's definitely a God-given vision. We just feel incredibly blessed to be a part of the work that he's doing in the next generation.
Love it, guys. And what kind of like opened that to say, what, it's gonna be, it's a bigger vision, but how do you chunk it down into like actionable steps in terms of like you cast a vision, and then okay, how do I get to that vision? What were the steps that you taken to say, what, let's provide, services, let's provide, what was that type of thing for you guys to say, what, vision's there, how do I get closer to that and actually unpack
I
it?
think we always try to start with, like the minimum viable product, like the best thing that we can do with
Mm,
that small step. And so for us, we started working on creating a course. That's something that we're actually releasing later this year. But to really teach that concept, we talked about purpose, influence, and adventure being sort of what we call the best life blueprint. But purpose is that first one. And so we really want to help the next generation get clear on their purpose so they have that direction, and then they can start to build in those success strategies into their life. So we've started to create tools and resources, and then a course as well, and done trainings on those topics to build that foundational level and then move there into influence and living the adventure of life.
cool. Now I know that our episode is kind of will pretty much focus on achieving goals, and there are a lot of people who set their goals. However, there's a lot of struggle, a lot of internal belief systems and resistance from within. From your from your perspective, what would be the biggest factors contributing to this?
You're absolutely right. Like, even though goals are a very popular topic, even a popular hashtag, most people actually set them incorrectly. And so, therefore, they don't get those results that they're looking for. And that's why you see a lot of people fall off of their New Year's resolutions or just kind of leave their dreams in the dust. And so, what we see is that they're missing usually one of four key components.
So we use a tool that we call P.A.C.T. And when you look at the common difficulties that people encounter when they're trying to accomplish their goals, it's usually because they're missing one or more components in this little checklist of P.A.C.T.
Very interesting. So I'm really curious. The pact, how has pact helped you and your clients' everyday life? Really curious about it. Can you
Yeah,
explain
so
to that?
PACT, like Candice said, is an acronym for those four components that you need to work on your goals and bring them into reality. So P stands for having a plan of action. Once you set your direction, you've got to have those action steps clearly defined. We always say begin with the end in mind and kind of reverse engineer
Yeah.
what you need to do to reach that goal. A stands for accountability. Studies show that if we have accountability in place where we check in with someone on a regular basis, we are 95% more likely to achieve our goals. So I don't know about you, but we definitely
Really?
want that
Wow.
advantage, right?
That's a big statistic, too.
It is.
95% more likely to reach your goals. I'm all about
That's
that.
huge.
And then C stands for
Wow.
consistency. A lot of times when people set goals, they think about those big power moves, but consistency is the secret to big results. It's those small decisions repeated day in and day out that will help you to get the results you're looking for. And then T in PACT stands for time. We have to have a deadline. We have to make sure that we are putting in not only the quantity of time needed, but the quality of time needed, where we can really focus our efforts to get what we're looking for.
Yeah, and PACT has really helped us to be able to set our goals effectively and to really hone our focus. That way we move forward faster, because we're able to say no to things that might seem good in the moment, but they're not necessarily in line with where we're actually wanting to go in the end. So it really streamlines our decision-making process and helps us to kind of optimize our efforts. And I know that you asked a little bit about how that's helped our clients. So one person that always comes to mind that we worked with that used this PACT strategy for goal setting was able to crush her goals in record time, which was very exciting. She was able to launch a business and grow her following to levels that she never even dreamed were possible. So it's really exciting to see how it can have such a powerful impact on a person when they start to put this to work.
I love it how you mentioned about faster and forward. How important is the speed of implementation? Because people tend to procrastinate, and obviously you mentioned about faster and forward. How important is the speed of implementation, like to get it going? Because you mentioned about fast track. How important is that? Because some people are like, yeah, put a goal, it's there, but there's no sense of there's no sense of I wouldn't say like a willpower push, but more of a desire. Like they're drawn to it, like they want to do it. Can you explain a bit why faster?
Yeah, I think it's
and
really
forward?
important. I know you talk a lot about overcoming that obstacle of procrastination. And when we can have that impetus and like get that momentum, that's what really helps to get the wheels going. Like momentum can help you stay motivated. It'll help you start to see the progress, and progress keeps us coming back for more. But if you don't get that ball rolling, it's really hard. And that's why people say, beginning means you're half done, because you've already taken that first
Yeah.
step. Yeah.
So true.
So I think it's really
Yeah.
important.
I think if you can implement something,
What?
right after you hear it, instead of just, saying, oh, that's great, and I'll come back to it, the people who take action immediately are the ones who are going to already start seeing results. It's when we sit back and we're like, oh, that's really good, and I'll think about that on,
We can talk ourselves out of
tomorrow or whatever. You can definitely talk yourselves out of doing the very thing that, you should do, and will get you the result you want.
Yeah, that quick win from doing one little step does a lot for your motivation and willpower.
Absolutely. I think the small wins does
Sure.
affect the bigger wins. And that's just like a baseline to say, you know what, I'm getting the stride, I'm getting a momentum, as you said, and you start to feel more confidence. Yeah, you know what, I can actually do this. So, what are the next steps, that the podcasters, listeners can take to build on this idea of P.A.C.T, which is a fantastic acronym, by the way, that can continue to be and to grow to their best version of themselves?
We would recommend committing to set one goal using PACT. So figure out what it is that you want, define that, come up with your plan of action, get a form of accountability in place, commit to being consistent, schedule it out, how you're going to do that, get a goal deadline, that way you have time, and schedule the time that you're going to commit to achieving that accomplishment in your life. And we also recommend signing up for another tool that we have.
So we have what's called the 5-day Best Life Challenge. And one of the things that we're most, thank
Ooh,
you,
like
one of the
that.
most passionate, exciting things for us in business is helping people become that best version of themselves. And so we've created a fun, free 5-day challenge that will help you begin implementing the right strategies and your next steps to do exactly that. So we will make that free challenge available to all of your listeners over at aretios.com/bestlife.
Wow, that's amazing, guys. You mentioned about the P.A.C.T. So P means for planning, A for accountability, C for
You got it.
consistency, and T for time.
Yeah.
Which
That's
is
the goal.
easy to remember, right? Yeah, that's the goal. So in terms of mindset, we'll talk about two things. But first, mindset. How important is mindset to actually go through the P.A.C.T? Because if they don't have the mind frame for it, obviously they'll go back into habits. We'll talk about it a bit later on. But how important is mindset
Yeah,
going
so
through the
mindset
P.A.C.T?
is one of the most important components to a person's success or failure in really anything, whether that is in business or just in life in general. And every action that we take always starts in our mind. So it's really essential that we continue to build a mindset that will really propel us in that direction of positive growth and the accomplishment of our goals.
As far as how, we work on building the right mindset, because I know a lot of people are like, okay, if it's important, how do I get the right mindset? There's three main things that we focus on. The first one is we look at input, and we're really intentional about what we feed our mind, monitoring the kind of things that we watch, what we read, what we listen to, because that starts to affect who you are as a person. And then we look at habits, which you mentioned as well. What we choose to do on a regular basis that shapes who we are. So we have certain habits that we practice daily to create a positive mindset, and then associations. Our parents would always tell us growing up, you become like those you associate with. So we want to choose to be around people that are going to challenge us to grow and to be better and to be positive.
I love it, guys. You mentioned about habits, which is fantastic, because that's the question I was going to ask, but you've answered it so perfectly. Power of association is really important. So you got the P.A.C.T happening and you've got the mindset for it. However, your environment and the culture that you're around with is not supporting that type of growth. So, what are the things that people need to do to really get snap out of it, to say, I'm not in that positive environment. The voices I'm hearing from the people around me are not really encouraging or positive. How would you, shift gears from a different environment to say, these are the people that may not be supporting my growth. What can I do next to kind of be in the right kind of environment? Whether it's through networking, is it through connecting with my mentor or my coach? How would you put that plan together?
Well, the first thing I think that's so important is to recognize that. I think a lot of people don't even realize that their environment has such a powerful impact on who they are as a person and their forward progress and growth. So first of all, recognizing that. Then second of all, I love that you mentioned the idea of working with a coach or somebody who can help create a growth plan for you. It's really important that we do employ the help of an expert, because sometimes when we're in that position and we're like, help, I don't know where to go next, it's so valuable to have a mentor or somebody who can say, hey, here's where you want to go and I can help you get there. Now, if you don't have that, because not everyone has a mentor in their life yet, highly recommend, but if you don't, that's okay. But certainly going back to what Lauren mentioned of your input and thinking about, all the things that you take in. What kinds of things are you reading? That has a big impact on your mindset and the thoughts that you think, being intentional about catching those things that kind of take you off in a negative direction. And certainly the people that you associate with. So start changing where you're hanging out. If all of your friends are not helping you get where you want to go, perhaps it's time to make some shifts and start going to different places where you'll be able to meet people who will be more like-minded. So maybe that's going to a conference of some kind, and that can be virtual or in person. Just getting connected to places where people who are moving in a similar direction are, and just starting to put yourself in those environments is incredibly valuable. You do that for a few months and you'll turn around and be like, wow, look at how things have changed.
And that's why communities like yours, Jez, and like what we're building with Aretios are so important, because you're going to find like-minded people who are striving to grow and better themselves, and they want to be in an environment of positive growth. And that's one of those places that you can find people who will help you.
Wow, guys. You mentioned about coaching and a mentor. Some people tend to think, well, I'm actually reading, I'm going through life, I get this a lot, right? Well, I've read a lot of things. I know I can do this on myself. How important is to have a coach, because I have a different type of lens? How important is that to get that guidance? And I love what you guys said, to fast track everything, because you don't want to reinvent the wheel and go through all the motions, and all of a sudden you're 5 years down the track and you've lost 5 years. How important is coaching and having a mentor walk you through transformation?
I love what you said about how a coach can help you fast track, because that is so true. They have not only the expertise, but a different perspective. This is something that I've seen in athletics, training in different sports. Both of us trained in classical ballet for me, you 13 years, me over 16 years growing up. And so having a coach to help us made all the difference. Like, I can go and I can work on things myself and I can maybe get a little bit better, but having someone who can see it from another perspective, an outside view, another set of eyes, and then give you those corrections makes all the difference. And it's the same for how we want to live our lives, the same for our growth, personally and professionally. So coaches make all the difference. If you want to fast track, that is what you need to do.
Love it, guys. Love it, love it, love it. Guys, if you're listening to right now, whether it's through audio and video, you guys got to get in touch with them. They're just so amazing. Just out of this segment alone, we've learned so much. So please take notes and repeat and repeat and repeat. And again, remember the P.A.C.T. You got to plan. You got to be accountable. You got to be consistent with your approach, and you got to put a time bound where you need to put a deadline date. I love that. Date is really important. If you don't have time,
it's so true.
you're not gonna do it. Just right. So this is a really simple approach. Don't forget they do have this 5-day challenge, so you get plugged into that. So I normally ask every guest that's on the show, and I ask this question: what is your meaning of motivation without the hype?
Well, we are all about motivation without the hype because we believe that learning should be fun, learning should be engaging, and most importantly, practical, because that's how you get results, right? Things you can actually plug into your own life instead of just good feelings, because let's face it, feelings come and go, they fade. But time-tested, proven strategies, those can be relied upon, right? Because they will work for you as long as you're willing to do your side of the bargain and put in the work to make it happen.
One of the most important steps for us and for every leader is to take that switch, to make that switch from external motivation to internal motivation. It's really wonderful to have people in your corner cheering you on, but in life, it's just not always the case. So that's why we have to learn to become our own best supporter. And you have to know why you're doing what you're doing. You've got to believe in it and show up every day committed, because you have to want it and you've got to believe in yourself. Otherwise, no one else will. And I know for Candice and I, making that switch from being, relying on external motivation to digging into our own internal motivation has made all the difference, and it will definitely do the same for you.
Wow, I am blown away. This is amazing. I love the internal motivation, because that's really important, because your internal does influence the external. And everything that you guys have mentioned about the power of influence, the power of network, the people around you, the P.A.C.T, so practical yet so profound and really applicable. And
that's the
goal.
That is our goal.
Made it so simple.
Yeah, I think a lot of
right,
it just
gets
kind of lost.
Right?
Sometimes there's a lot of, like you mentioned, hype and motivation up, and you're like trying to sort out where is the stuff that will actually help me. And if we can just simplify it to make it accessible to people, that is the goal of what we like to do.
I love it, guys. And again, a huge fan of your work. It's so amazing to make it so simple and so applicable. So guys, if you're listening to this right now, apply the P.A.C.T. And again, don't forget to connect with them. So thank you so much, Candice and Lauren. You guys have been wonderful guests. And this is not the end. There are going to be more of this coming your way. I just love it. So for more information, how you can get in touch with both of them, there are show notes provided on the link below. So, Candice and Lauren, they're phenomenal what they do, and they have amazing content. You seriously need to plug into them. So please follow and subscribe. They have all the resources. There's a newsletter as well that you can plug in, and much, much, much more that you can be inspired to taking action for your life and become the best version of yourself. So we got all the links provided on the links below on the show notes. So don't forget to go there and plug with them and get connected. Not now, as in right away. So if you're hearing this, get to the website and subscribe to them right now. So if this episode has been helpful and uplifting, we would love for you to write a review to inspire more listeners to get plugged in. We will continue to provide high-value content in each of every episode. If you don't mind sharing this podcast show on social media by inviting others, it would mean the world to me. Every time you tag me, we will get the opportunity to share those posts. And together, I say it again, together, we can make a difference in the life of others through inspirational episodes just like this. So there you have it. In closing, there you have it. In closing, continue to unleash your greatness and tell yourself that I can, I will, and I must, and we'll see you on the next episode.